Hello, everyone. We have a very strange case here that I want to talk about. So, this guy here looks. I'm not sure if he's the CEO. It says CEO in game, physical game with something. So, he seems to be referring to he's the CEO of Fresh Brew Games, but then down here, he just says we will license the Steelbook distribution from the original Cradles that, so I'm not really sure his exact placement on this, but this gentleman posted a thing saying that the game has been banned. Speedollama has been banned. So this is a small imprint company that started up. The first thing was I think it was Speedollama and then Projectile, but it might have been another way. But these are the only two games they have. Two versions of this and PS5 version of this. Now, what's weird is they say because of sexy llama boobs and the post being the reason, which, to be honest, if you're familiar with any cover drama censorship shit that the ESRB has been related to, that probably wouldn't really be surprising. Because honestly, the ESRB is a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned, honestly, as an organization. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe games should be weighted and give you an idea what's on the physical content. But the ESRB, over the last like decade and a half to 2 decades, has completely shifted from anything remotely for consumers and all for fucking corporate overlords. Like, these guys, they were backing up all the loot box gambling shit. They were right there with EA going, yep, surprise mechanics, yep. These people are sacks of shit. Like, they were just arguing about consumers wanted shit like loot boxes and stuff put it on the ESRB waiting. And the ESRB's like, oh, no. They're a bunch of sacks of shit. They're just a fucking crappy, like, union type thing, like a sucky union that just collects money and doesn't do anything, essentially. That's all they are. They just arbiters of fees. They hardly do their job. If you're familiar with the whole thing that happened with that one Neptune game where it was given the wrong ESRB weighting, and basically they forced NIS to put a okay, they didn't necessarily force them to do the patch, but they forced them to do something, and apparently they took the road of doing a patch and downgrading the language instead of doing new versions and stuff. Like with like the hot coffee drama with San Andreas, which that was a whole weird, stupid shit show in its own way as well. But yeah, ESRB, I don't have any respect for them. They're sacks of shit. They don't give actual any care about the consumers at all. They're fucking pieces of shit as far as I care. Anyway, so apparently, if you look at this, it says that with a self-applied ESRB weighting information. So if this is from the ESRB, they're claiming that either Fresh Brew Games or the original creators of this game, which I don't know who's responsible for that, to be honest. Now, I actually own a PS5 version of this. It's weighted teen. It has blood, drug references, language, use of tobacco, and violence listed on it, which I would say are accurate. Now, again, the thing I'm really curious about is who is to blame for this. You might wonder how in the world could this even happen, too, because this game was available digitally for a good while, and I don't know if the digital version was weighted. My guess is the digital version was weighted, and whoever was in charge just applied that. But if you look at this person who used to work with Super Whale Games, they note that a physical version requires its own ESRB certification. So that's why my guess is originally the digital one was probably weighted, and they just went with that and didn't realize they didn't. That's my guess at the scenario. As it stands, as you can see, Speedollama is not an ESRB weighting. So if it was weighted digitally, they deleted it. I don't know if it was, though. But either way, it's not on there anymore, and this person's claiming it will be delisted digitally later, unknown date. But according to this, they have 14 business days to sell or destroy all unsold copies. Now that's interesting though, because I'm not really sure how that kind of thing was handled with, say, like the hot coffee mod scandal with San Andreas, for example. I find it hard to think the ESRB would be like, go sell them. I would feel like they would be more like, just destroy them. So I'm kind of curious about that. They could be just being lenient because it's not as serious to them. Like, I mean, the hot coffee mod was just, a sexual mini game you didn't have any way to activate without fucking hacking the game of that. So maybe they're being more lenient because of it, but I don't know. That feels kind of weird to me, to be honest. Now, I'm going to go a little bit on what I mean by that. So, I don't know who's to blame on this, regards of the print company or the original people who made the game. I'm very curious to know that. I could not get an answer because the ESRB, being the worthless sacks of shit they are, won't reply to me. No shocker. I did ask them though, but I wasn't expecting a reply. I didn't get a reply, of course, because they're worthless sacks of shit. Because it's a bunch of fat people sitting at a desk collecting money and not doing actual work. Anyway, so what's interesting is this Project Tau game is on the waiting. Now, as far as I can tell, you can't tell whether this is for the digital or physical version of the game, though. So, but again, that's why I think it's some. I don't think it's related to everything. I think it's just Speedollama. But hey, who knows? Now, I'm curious whether who to blame, because if Fresh Brewed Games did this, the ESRB could just potentially blacklist them, and they're done. They may not be able to do anything else. And that's why I'm curious who to blame, because if it was the people who made the game, then they could be like, oh, they lied to us, and score the issue a bit more. And there could be another reason maybe why this is maybe being allowed potentially, but it still wings kind of odd to me. Now, if you click the standard, you'll notice that it says 200 units. Now, if you click the steelbooks are 1,000 units. So that means for each system, they did 1,200 units. So, and the game is still for sale. You can still buy the steelbook for both and the standard for 5. Standard for 4 is out. And there are other places that have this game in stock. So you can even check out a few of the other little game stores that places similar to Video Games Plus. I don't know if Video Games Plus specifically has any. I'm not sure, but I know. I think that like a new one that popped up was like called Loot Box or something. I remember Cheap Ass Gamer tweeting they had some, but yeah. This is a very bizarre situation. Whether the llama boob thing has any actual relevance to it, I don't know. Like I said, in here it says a self-applied ESRB thing, so it's quite a strange predicament. I'll be interested to see who's at fault, because, yeah. Now, Speedollama, I did the Does It Play test on the PS5 version. I got sent that to do the test on that, and the only issue I came across is after I finished the whole game. I did the whole game in 1-1, and the only issue I came across was when I did continue to get some footage for the YouTube video that the Does It Play people stopped putting out now. I did a footage thing for it, and basically, for some reason, when the shop and loading the next stage happened, for a few seconds it would like do some weird repeat thing with the music and then fix itself. That's the only time that happened, is after I finished the game and did continue, because I did all in one playthrough. So I don't know if continue in general does that or after you finish the game. But either way, that was the only thing I had with Trouble. It's basically like a Metal Slug game on a timer. Like you load the stage, you have to collect so much of an item to be able to leave the stage, and you one jump and shoot all over the fucking place in every direction. It's a pretty simple game. I wouldn't say it's really worth $40 personally, but it's an okay time waster. Definitely would have benefited from being on the Switch for on the go type playing for sure. But otherwise, I didn't really have a problem. Whether I would recommend it for $40, nah, I think it's definitely more of a $20 budgety type game personally. But that's a different discussion. I've done that discussion a dozen times. But yeah, so if the game's being delisted and supposedly after 14 business days they have to destroy all these copies, that means this will be a game you're only going to either get from the physical version or piracy, basically, at this point. So people are obviously, hitting the FOMO drum, and we could potentially see prices go up. Now, will they? I don't know. I can tell you, as someone who's tried to speculate the markets at times to make a little spare money to try and pay for the hobby itself a little bit. I can tell you it could go either way. Like weird shit happens with a lot of the speculative market and value of that. So I'm not gonna be here and be like, oh, start stacking up copies. But that's up to you whether you want a copy for your own personal self to play and collect, or you want to try and speculate the market and hope to sell it for more. That's up to you. I mean, both systems together, there's only 2,400 copies, so it's not a gigantic, huge wave, but there's lots of limited one games that aren't also large amounts that aren't really worth a lot, so hard to say. Now, in regards to how could this have happened, actually, like, as in, shouldn't someone have caught this? So, if you were familiar with the early age of limited one games in a very brief window with NIS, basically they found a loophole where by selling directly off the website, because back then limited one didn't do any retail stuff at all. They didn't do Amazon deals with GameStop or Best Buy. They were just pure website. They realized they didn't have to do an ESRB weighting. And I don't blame them, because like I said, they just extort money at this point these days. They don't fucking do their job. You have to do it for them, and if you messed up on any minor note that triggers them, you get punished for it. It's stupid. It's unprofessional, and again, I have no respect for the ESRB anymore, because they don't care about us as consumers. They don't do their job, and they censor shit needlessly with no real good reason. So I don't have a lot of respect for them anymore. But I digress. But back then, there was a momentary hole where they were releasing stuff without ESRB wings, because they didn't have to. At the time, only retail had to. Now, of course, the ESRB, looking at all that fat stack of fees they could be making, weren't happy. So they changed the rules on them, and now they all have to have ESRB wings so they can get their stack of fees on them. So, and I never limited one games. Those were the good days where the prices weren't fucking for like a minor interesting idea game that should be like $20 isn't $34.99 was upset, and I don't blame them. I mean, again, they're just fucking fee collectors that don't do any real good work much anymore. They don't care about the consumer. So my guess on how this happened in regards to making the physical version is there never was put in a check still. Because at one point in time, you could make copies without ESRB weighting and sell on your website. So after the ESRB required it, apparently nobody put in a thing to check. So that's my guess. My full guess is that the digital version was weighted. They used that weighting and self-applied it to the physical version, and then with no system to check it still, gone printed and sent out. And now how the ESRB found out about this, I have no idea. I mean, this is a very niche company and a niche title, so no idea how the ESRB found anything about it. But yeah, and of course, they're mad they didn't get a fucking fee out of it. So there you have it. So should you get the game? That's up to you. That's a choice. It's still there, but it looks like that'll be the one. Now, I do want to side on the caution. As I said, I haven't gotten confirmation on who's to blame and stuff. And, like, the ESRB, we don't have, like, this is just a screenshot. You should always remember, this is a screenshot. We don't have actual documentation or anything to prove, like, you can falsize this stuff. And I'm not saying this guy's lying to us, but I'm saying be cautious in case he might be. Because this could be a FOMO tactic. Now, is he? I don't know. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying be cautious. There's always scammers from low to high. I mean, look at the Epstein files. Oh, Lord. There's always people out there to scam you from every degree, from every tier of life. And I'm just saying, this seems kind of odd to me. Because I just don't imagine the ESRB letting you sell your copies. Because in my experience of these kind of incidents, they've always demanded, like, recalls and destroy them. Now, again, like I said, they could be being nice. Like, if it was the original game creator that fucked all this up, and they're just maybe being nice to this company, because it's not as, like, you know, in their eyes as deemly threatening as, like, say, like, the hot coffee mod, which, again, you had to hack to fucking get that to work. I think now you can trigger it with, like, a Game Shark code, but that took, like, several years for someone to figure out something that affected that. But the point is, like, I'm very curious to see more information on this. But I'm just saying, if this does end up being a FOMO tactic and this person is lying, this is scummy as fuck then. Now, again, I'm not saying he is or isn't, or whether that's true or not. It's hard to say. It could be anything. Like, I'm just saying, people lie on the internet all the time for their own self purposes, and that is all I'm saying. I'm just saying, be a cautious buyer. Don't go and buy all these. Don't go to here and just buy all the copies you can and hope you're gonna get a bunch of money trying to stack all these. Is all I'm saying. Because if it's a FOMO tactic to try and get these sold, then yeah, not good. But yeah, I'm very interested to see more information on this situation. Because, like, something like this hasn't happened in quite a while. So it's very interesting. And I bet the ESRB will likely demand Sony to have some kind of check to make sure this doesn't happen again. Because, I mean, I can tell you back when Limited One talked about the ESRB basically changing the rules so they had to do it, like, they were very adamant about wanting money from them. So I just feel like they're being really kind, which, I mean, if they are, then that's cool for Fresh Brew Games. And because honestly, I don't see the ESRB doing that. It just seems strange to me. But anyway, that's the Speedollama thing. That's very strange. I imagine the next several days, unless some new information on the situation comes out, people are going to whack up the FOMO on it, and it could potentially become a lot of money, or it might not. Hard to say. Like I said, the spectoy market for game values are very weird these days. Very weird. But anyway, y'all take it easy. Have a good day and enjoy the bizarroness of it all. Whoa.